folks, this is another live workshop from WP-Tonic. Oh, Putin wants Haroon. What will we be covering in this live workshop? Well, it's going to be a series of about 4 to 6 videos, probably 6, where we're going to go through from beginning to almost the end of everything you need to set up a membership website utilizing LearnDash with Elementor. It's a powerful platform. It's a polished platform. It's one of 2 that we recommend to build a membership site. We recommend LearnDash and Lifter LMS, but we're going to concentrate in this series LearnDash, and it's been requested quite a bit. So I thought we'd do a bit of a dive. I'm going to throw it over to Haroon. He's going to give you a quick summary of what we're going to be covering in this particular video workshop and what he plans to cover in the other workshops that are going to be following this particular one. Over to you, Haroon.
Hello, everyone. And thank you, Jonathan. Pleasure to be here. And for a bit of an intro, I do consultancy for WP-Tonic. I am their marketing automation expert, and I also help with learning management systems, WooCommerce, automation solutions. So anything beyond just mere posts and pages, anything that involves lots of moving parts, integrating them together, usually I handle that. And I'm really excited about this series of 6 videos that we're going to make focused around building your own e-learning website using LearnDash, and not just LearnDash, but a whole ecosystem of plugins around LearnDash that will give you that edge over your competitors who might just be running an LMS alone, just a learning management system, versus you who might be running a learning management system with things like marketing automation, things like advanced lead capture forms, things like highly optimized conversion focused funnels. So these things, they end up making a huge difference when it comes to running a business versus just running an online learning system. So let's get started. And in this first workshop, we're just going to be covering, firstly, we're going to cover the basics of what we're going to cover in the entire series. And then we're going to cover the concept of using and setting up LearnDash. So we're just going to install and configure its very basics without going through anything like course setup or payment pages and login pages and forms and emails. And that's going to be in our next session, in the second session. In today's session, we're going to just set up LearnDash itself. And other than that, in today's session, we're going to take a look at the plugin ecosystem that WP-Tonic offers to all of its customers that host with it, that can augment LearnDash that I just spoke about. And we're going to also discuss the key differences between using something like self-hosted LearnDash versus a SaaS e-learning platform like Teachable or like, well, there are many others. Teachable is one example. So we're going to see the primary differences between these.
And I think the main thing I want to point out is that we provide these plugins, but you don't have to utilize WP-Tonic solution. If you wish to, you could use somebody else's hosting and buy these plugins yourself. So if you're not planning to use, and I hope you do consider using us, you're not forced to use us. It still has total relevance. I feel we have chosen the best plugins in our offering. So this is great guidance, even if you're not going to use our platform. If you're going to go totally commando, which is your decision, there's still a great solution, isn't it, Haroon?
I completely agree. These are some of the best in-class plugins out there. And going with a managed host like WP-Tonic has its benefits, that anything that they have as an agency, because WP-Tonic is not just a host, it's a host and agency duo, a combination. So any of their agency plans for these plugins, you're entitled to use that without having to buy and maintain your own license, contact the plugin support on your own, and any of that. But at times, despite having WP-Tonic's license, there might be a case where you need to be one-on-one with support, with customer support of the plugin vendor. If you're a very hands-on customer, in that case, it might make more sense for you to have your own license. But it all varies from case to case.
Yeah.
All right. So the other one of the other things that we're going to cover today is going to be the key areas that cause the most confusion when it comes to newbies who are thinking of either switching from a SaaS platform to WordPress, or who are just getting started, with the idea of building a website and offering courses online on that website. So we're gonna cover the key points to consider, the key confusions that we're gonna get rid of for you, and then we're gonna discuss a few tips and tricks, and that'll be it. So let's get started then. So the concept of using a learning management system, let's get started with that. While you can just set up a website, and in your posts you can embed things like videos, in your comments you can have your students communicate with you. So while it can be done, while a teaching website can be set up with using just the WordPress core post type, it's just way too basic for anything beyond that, because then all you'd be able to do
I just want to quickly interrupt, because I want your advice on this. I get a lot of inquiries saying, what's the difference between a membership plugin and a learning management system? And in my own mind, and I just want to see if you agree or you've got a different insight, is the way I explain it, which isn't perfect, but I think it makes the most sense to the people I'm trying to advise, is that I say to them, if you're just planning one course and you have no plans of building out multiple courses, and that course is just going to have a few lessons in it, and you're not thinking of you have no plans for the foreseeable future to build that out, you probably can consider just using a membership plugin.
Yes.
But if you're really planning to build out a real hardcore membership site and make a living, a business out of e-learning, where you're going to have multiple courses, multiple tracks, multiple lessons, and then people be able to be a member of different courses in that membership site, you should really consider using a learning management system plugin. What do you think about that explanation, Harun?
I agree to a very substantial part, but I'll go one step further, and I'd say that even if you don't have one course, if you have just a few courses, and none of those courses are built in a way that requires a lot of sort of interaction by your students in form of completing a lesson, or taking a quiz, or maybe there's no need for your courses to have a lot of lessons. If your course is just a bunch of videos, like you have 3 courses, each course is just 5 videos, just put them on 3 different pages, one for each course, and have the videos embedded in those pages. Because then why go with the system that you're gonna underutilize if you're not gonna manage quizzes, if you're not gonna manage student enrollments at a per course level, if let's say you're gonna give everyone access.
And if you're planning to do that, folks, there are some free or very inexpensive plugins. You don't actually have to buy a very expensive membership plugin, because or you could just consider using Lifter LMS for free, the free version of Lifter LMS, and you could almost do everything that Haroon's just said, utilizing the free version of Lifter. So that's something to keep in mind, because the free side of Lifter LMS is amazing value on its own. Back over to you, Haroon.
But even in that case, if you don't need anything beyond putting course videos out there, then you don't even need Lifter LMS. Then just you can use Pages, and content control is like it's a free WordPress plugin on the repository. You can use it to give different access levels to different WordPress native sort of user levels. So you can do that with something like what's that famous plugin for creating different user role types? User role editor. So yeah, I mean, you can hack a solution like that. But then, if you want to,
I'm thinking of more the real somebody that's not used to WordPress and what is a plugin, literally, what is a theme. That's why I suggest that you stick with Lifter, the free version of Lifter, because it provides some structure and there's plenty of lessons. That I totally agree with you. It was just the reason why I was going down that path is that I was thinking more of the person where role editor, the free plugin, which I agree with you is great. They think, what am I? What is a role? What is a user? What is a? I just think you'd be if you're in that type of individual, you'd be better off looking at Lifter.
Of course, I was presenting it just as a case in point that it can be done like that as well. But I wouldn't recommend going that route if you ever plan to scale courses, if you ever plan to have your students enroll in different courses independently, if you want to have multiple tracks, if you want to have lessons as components of courses and then topics and quizzes as components of courses or as components of lessons. If you're going to issue certificates for course completion, if you're going to have any sort of study groups in your system for students to interact with each other or with you or with whoever is their instructor, if you're going to have multiple instructors, if you're going to do all of that, then Lifter LMS or LearnDash, these are two of the best in class WordPress e-learning plugins. And now there's a third one that's very up and coming, but we're going to keep our focus on the two established players, Lifter and LearnDash. The third up and coming one is Tutor, but it's not there yet where Lifter and LearnDash stand.
Because we can keep just the two because it's confusing enough for people. There's too many choices anyway, so we don't want to add the confusion.
Of course, the reason I'm mentioning it is because of highlighting the fact that the more established a plugin is, it's generally the right path to go, because you get years and years of experience that has gone into building these two. They are very mature products. They have evolved to a stage where you can very reliably deploy them. So that's the difference. That's why I highly recommend choosing between either of these two. And you can't really go wrong with either of them. It's like you can't go wrong picking a Honda or a Toyota. If it's a Corolla or a Civic, it's up to you. Whichever you like. They're both good economy cars and very good, reliable everyday drive.
So you show how to get the basics of LearnDash set up.
Yes. So moving on, let's get started with setting up LearnDash, and I'm going to share my screen. So over here, we are in a WordPress dashboard of a pretty much fresh install. There's nothing on it other than if we go to our installed plugins, we're going to see that we have Elementor Pro. I'll just update it. And LearnDash LMS and LearnDash LMS Pro panel. You can ignore these two. These are like hosting specific plugins. So we've got 4 primary plugins over here: Elementor and LearnDash. They're the basic edition and pro edition in case of Elementor, and in case of LearnDash, this pro panel, it's not required. It just gives you their more updated, their newer version of dashboard for you to manage and view the activity that goes on in the LMS for you. And in the very start, we're not going to bother with it at all. In the very start, we're going to just take a look at the core LearnDash itself. And once you've installed and activated LearnDash, you get this LearnDash LMS section over here. And I didn't go through the process of installing a plugin because it's like if you host with us, we're either going to install it for you, or if you are a hands-on person, you probably know how to install a WordPress plugin already. So you just install it like any other standard WordPress plugin. And then you get this LearnDash LMS section over here. And we're going to go and take a look at its overview tab first and foremost. So once you've installed it for the first time, then in the overview section, you get asked to activate it using your license key. I'm not going to expand it because one of the things that I don't like about LearnDash is it exposes your license key in plain text in the plugin settings. And that's not a good thing to do. But if you expand it, you're going to be able to enter your email address and the license key from your LearnDash account. And if we set it up for you, we're going to activate it for you. You're not going to have to worry about it at WP-Tonic. And then you're going to be able to go through an overview video, which I recommend that you do. It's always a good thing to go through the basic onboarding documentation of any plugin or any new tool that you use. And then they have this really nice onboarding setup where they have videos demonstrating how to create courses, creating quizzes, and all the basics. But we're going to go through all of that ourselves. I recommend that you go through these for your reference, or if you get stuck at some point, you want to refer to something that they've covered in their videos, you can take a look over here. And then they've got documentation links, support links, and announcements. And just like the basic WordPress dashboard, this is just dedicated to your LearnDash system. And we're going to be able to create new courses, lessons, and topics, starting with the courses section. Over here, clicking add new, you can create a new course. They have this sort of a demo course, or it was just a demo course that I had created earlier. In fact, I can trash this because in the next session, we're going to actually go through the entire setup of creating courses, lessons, and quizzes.
Where I'm only going by the feedback and where we're talking about, and like I said at our intro, there's different group users out there. I'm talking about those that haven't used WordPress a lot, and what they say is where I want an easy way to get the home page there about us, get the course page and the login page.
Yes.
Now with Elementor, I'm probably interrupting your flow here.
No worries.
I just want to confirm where you're going to. So you're starting with the course and the lesson. Either in this video or the next video, we're going to be, because where I think people struggle from their feedback is that we've changed our position. We used to install Astra, but we no longer do that. We just install the Hello theme that comes,
yes,
and then we supply 2 to 3 themes that we've not themes. I apologise. Template kits, which
right.
And we're going to be providing in the near future 3 or 4 that we recommend, and then a whole group of other template kits through a new system that we're going to install. But there's a confusion with between what is a theme and what is a template kit, because I think now there's really a real enormous overlap. They basically do the same thing to some extent, don't they?
Yes, there is a little bit of an overlap in Elementor Pro and Hello as well, based on the headers and footers that are now there in Hello as well. Previously, you needed to build them with Elementor itself, but I'm saving all of this for later because of one primary reason. If I start off with all of this, we're not going to have any content to build anything on. And if I just use any demo content, we're going to then have to go ahead and replace it with the actual course content once we've added demo courses over here. So I'm starting off with the courses.
Fine.
Once we go through the courses, lessons, topics, quizzes, we create some demo courses, add lessons to them, add topics, add quizzes, and set up a certificate and all. And then and we're also going to set up some users and groups, probably in the next session or two. And then after we've done with all of that, then we're going to take a look at how to get it all to work on the front end, how to create the home page, how to add course grids and lists wherever you want on the site, be it in the main content area, be it in the sidebars, show user list, user achievements, user any user related content as well, and creating menus, creating login pages, logout pages. Maybe you want a home page that is not a grid of courses. Maybe on the home page you want to introduce your organization and then have a grid of courses on another page. So all of that we're going to cover once we have all of this backend content sorted, because one should have a content first approach. If you have the content in, then building design around it, building presentation around it is generally easier compared to taking a pre-built design. Then you sort of constrain yourself to that design when creating your content, and that's generally not a recommended way to go. So first build the content, then build a design that best utilizes that content. That's what.
So that's a great tip, folks, and I totally agree with Haroon, and thanks for that, Haroon. So what you're saying is, which is, I would say 90% of users don't think that way, is that they want to get into the really nice stuff, the design. But what you should do is build the courses, the lessons, and then choose a theme that works with the structure around your courses. That's fantastic, Haroon.
Thank you. So similarly, similar to this courses section where you can add a new course, you can go to the lesson section and directly add a new lesson, or you can even add a new lesson while you're creating a course. We're going to go through all of that in the session where we actually cover the course. So courses have lessons and lessons have topics, but courses may directly have topics as well. If you don't have a big course, if your course is simply 5 different topics, you can choose to have those 5 different topics as lessons, or you can just have topics directly in a course. So you don't need to have the hierarchy that LearnDash shows over here. It doesn't enforce any such hierarchy on you. And then quizzes have questions, of course, and certificates are issued when people complete courses or complete quizzes. And then groups are just like study groups or focus groups. So you have, let's say, a site that has multiple topics that are covered in its courses, multiple fields that are covered in its courses. You may have study groups of different fields, like a student studying interior design. Maybe there's a group for that. And then there's students studying architecture. There could be a different group for that. And those are good for group discussions between students and instructors. And then there are assignments and reports. Reporting is basically for your reference generally, and assignments are similar to quizzes, but we're going to take a look at the differences between them in the sessions where we create them. Now, coming to add-ons, because today we're covering an overview, and we're going to cover add-ons and settings. So in terms of add-ons, LearnDash itself, the core plugin, gives you all the basics to build a course, to build as many courses as you want, and to even display them on the site in different ways. But it's the add-ons that add a lot of functionality to it that you may or may not need. So they've done this great modular approach where they don't bundle everything but the kitchen sink in their plugin. And that's a very good approach that a lot of WordPress plugins generally follow. They let you choose the extra features based on these add-ons. So let's take a look at their first-party add-ons available. There's an achievements add-on, which will help you set up an awards or gamification system where badges are awarded based on courses completed, lessons, topics, quizzes, and whatnot. Stripe is a payment gateway integration. So you don't need to have a third-party e-commerce plugin installed like WooCommerce or anything to be able to sell courses. You can just sell courses directly from LearnDash using its Stripe or PayPal integration. Zapier lets you connect LearnDash with your third-party software as a service systems or anything, maybe your organization's internal system that has list of users or list of any information that you want to keep on pushing between your internal system and your installation of LMS. And then this course grid add-on, it gives you a short code to embed grids of LearnDash courses anywhere. We might not need it because we're going to build those grids using Elementor. But if, let's say, you're using Gutenberg or any other page building experience, then you can use this shortcode. Or let's say you're not using any modern page editor, you're using that old classic editor of WordPress, the one that we had before Gutenberg. You can still use this shortcode to display all sorts of course grids wherever you want. bbPress integrates LearnDash with the WordPress famous bulletin board solution, bbPress, which is one of the components of BuddyBoss as well. So this integration helps you integrate LearnDash with BuddyBoss as well. And then there are MemberPress integrations. There's content integrity extension that lets you protect parts of your content. You decide how it's shared, where it's shared. Gravity Forms extension that lets people enroll into your courses using a Gravity form. Let's say you're using a major form plugin like Gravity Forms or Elementor Forms or any third-party form plugin for initial user registration, and you want to enroll them into courses when they fill that form. Then something like this could be very useful. WooCommerce integration, I don't recommend using it unless you really have lots and lots of courses that you, for some reason that you already know, that you're already sure of, that you want to use for selling them through WooCommerce with other products, with other stuff on your shop. Generally, unless you're 100% sure that you want to sell LearnDash courses with WooCommerce, I recommend not going with that, because it's just simpler to use Stripe for LearnDash to sell it with LearnDash itself, to sell them with LearnDash itself. That said, let's say you already have a membership site with WooCommerce memberships and you want to utilize that for selling courses, then yes, WooCommerce integration is going to come.
I've got a slightly different view, but I'm going to wait till you're finished the overall, and then I'll give a comment. All right.
And then this Samcart integration is also a similar e-commerce integration. Easy digital downloads, it's an alternative to WooCommerce. That's also a great online shopping experience for WordPress. And there's a notifications plugin that lets you take full control of emails that are being sent based on users' actions in LearnDash. And there's a certificate builder that you can utilize to design custom certificates using the WordPress default Gutenberg block editor. To-checkout integration is another payment gateway integration. Paid Memberships Pro integration is another membership plugin integration. Paid Memberships Pro is similar to MemberPress, similar to WooCommerce memberships, just built different ways. They get the same job done. Elementor for LearnDash, we're going to install it right away because this is one of the plugins that we're going to actually really capitalize on. And I may need to install other plugins down the road as well, but I'm only installing and activating the ones that I'm going to be sure of that I'll need. Generally, for new users, I've often seen that they get too excited when they see a list of features and they're like, hey, I want this feature and I want that feature and I want this feature. So they install way too many plugins that they're probably never going to utilize. And the more plugins you have active, especially these plugins, they're not very simple, 50 lines of code plugins. They're often very complex plugins that have tasks running in the background and whatnot, because we're dealing with a learning management system. So it's good to only install and activate the ones that you're going to be sure when you need them. So if it's something that you're going to need later, don't install it now at all. Install it when you're actually going to need it. Thrivecart, very similar to WooCommerce and all. Multilingual integration, this is self-explanatory. It integrates with two of the most popular multilingual support plugins of WordPress, WPML, which was the previous king of multilingual WordPress, and Polylang, which has now pretty much dethroned WPML because of its usability improvements over WPML. And then Restrict Content Pro is another membership plugin, content restriction plugin. And Event Espresso is an events plugin. So you can integrate your courses with Event Espresso events as well. And then there are third-party add-ons. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm just going to show you the list very briefly, because otherwise we're just going to end up spending this entire course discussing these names. So I'm just going to scroll through this list so that you get to see the idea of what a huge ecosystem of plugins LearnDash has. And these are mostly free plugins hosted on the WordPress repository.
Right.
And Jonathan, you wanted to...
Yeah, so just want a quick comment on the LearnDash plugins, because it does cause some confusion for newbies. One of the factors it causes, you probably noticed there's some membership plugins, and I see MemberPress, and there's a couple of other ones as well, and like membership and a couple of the others. They're great membership plugins, but one of the reasons why they're there is that until about, time flies, folks, I think it's over a year ago now, it might be almost 18 months ago, LearnDash didn't have its own method of people being able to buy a course. You had to utilize a third-party membership plugin to provide that functionality. That changed. They actually, like Lifter LMS, they built that functionality inside of LearnDash. And our position is at WP-Tonic is that we recommend, if you're starting off, that you utilize just the internal system. It works, it's great. And then if you need additional functionality, like you want to sell, you want to bumps, you want to offer some additional extras when they come to the checkout page, provide a modern e-commerce environment, then we suggest that you might look at WooCommerce integration, and we utilize cart flows or a couple of other plugins with WooCommerce, and we provide all that at WP-Tonic that enable you to build a modern one-page checkout system with bump functionality with Elementor. But to start off with, we would recommend that you just start with the internal. The other thing with Gravity Forms is a fantastic plugin. We can provide that, but we tend to use Fluent Forms and Fluent Forms Pro, because when it comes to the marketing automation, we recommend Fluent CRM, and they're developed by the same people, so the integration is very, very tight, and we provide all that as well. So, and just to finish off, is you really want to listen to what Haroon said. People have a tendency to install everything because they don't know better, and that's one of the benefits of hosting with us, is that on our onboarding we find out what you really need, and then we advise you and install what you only really need, because that has consequences on the functionality, the reliability and the speed of your website. I don't know what you think of what I just said. Hopefully it made some sense, Haroon.
I completely agree. And yes, the LearnDash native membership system, which is basically the group system that I was talking about. So it's not just user groups. It's also like groups can also be considered as member levels, essentially. And you can sell access to groups. So groups is a membership for functionality built into the core of LearnDash. And there's even more. When you assign a leader to a group, that leader can even create courses in that group. So you can have like sub-instructors, if you want to confine your instructors to for different courses, to be able to create courses only for the group of students assigned to that group. That's all natively built into LearnDash. It's like,
I don't want us, because we're going to definitely deal with this in another video. So please control me, Haroon.
Yes.
So
That's what I was about to say, that we're going to cover this in detail in the lesson where we
I didn't
create
realise that
all
they
of
had
this.
built that out, because you used to have to use a very powerful but a complicated add-on plugin to have any of
Yes.
that from Uncanny Owl, which are great people.
Yes.
But it seems what you're suggesting, there's probably is a, like when it comes to the internal membership linked to what I said about WooCommerce, there's probably a level where you can do it, and then you need to look at, you get to a certain level where you need to look at the Uncanny Owl product, which we'll probably cover. But it's amazing that they've built all this into the native plugin, isn't it?
Yes. I was surprised to see that they had thrown this in as well, because previously running a multi-instructor e-learning solution with LearnDash wasn't straightforward. You did need that Uncanny tool, or there were couple of other third-party tools. They were all great in their own rights, but neither of them were straightforward enough. It was another level of complexity added as well. And I think that at least having multiple instructors, that capacity should be native. So with this groups capability, you assign a leader to a group, and that leader can create courses in that group. It's as simple as that, which is lovely. I love this. And yes, let's move on now to just going through some of the settings. I'm not going to go through every single setting. I'm just going to give you an overview. So design and content elements. This lets you set up the default LearnDash course display sort of styling based on the template that you select over here. LearnDash 3.0 has a very pronouncedly different template from Legacy. We're going to see them later. And Legacy is more like old classic WordPress post display. So if you want to style your courses based on Elementor single post templates, then probably Legacy is the way to go. LearnDash 3.0 has a more optimized learning experience. I recommend using LearnDash 3.0 as the template, and you can have your own accent color, progress colors, and you can have LearnDash styling for login and registration, logo, and whatnot. This focus mode that we're going to see later, and then you've got your global pagination settings, how many courses should be shown on each sort of list or grid, and when you use the shortcodes. And then there are admin user settings, whether admin should be automatically enrolled into all courses, and based on based on their WordPress user administrator role, and whether admins can just bypass, basically whether admins can bypass all restrictions, enrollment restrictions set by LearnDash for other users. It's a good idea to keep these enabled, because you do want your admins to be able to go into any course, take any lesson, access anything in LearnDash without any hassle. And then admins should not be included in reports. So yeah, it's good to keep this unchecked. And then there are some registration related settings on how you want to manage users registration for courses. There are custom fields that you can set up. Default fields are username, email, first name, last name, password, among which first name and last name are optional, but hey, why wouldn't you want to capture names at least? And then you can add custom fields as well. Wait, yeah, you can't add custom fields from here, but you can reorganize them. And then you can set the registration page. You can set a page that's the success page for when someone has registered. They're going to be taken to that thank you page, basically. And then there's the payment section where you want to set up how you're going to charge users for courses. And for this, you'll need, so the PayPal integration is built in. And for any other e-commerce gateway integrations, you're going to need to activate the respective add-on. Like we're going to probably show you how to set up Stripe, because that's one of the most popular payment gateways out there. So you're going to enable the Stripe add-on first, and then Stripe is going to show up over here as well. And if you click manage, you're going to be able to set up your API keys and everything. And then emails is just the basic emails that LearnDash would send. And we haven't activated the notifications add-on. That will give you a lot more emails. But these are just the basic emails, like when someone has successfully purchased a course or a group membership, or when someone registers as a new user. These are the emails they're going to receive.
Yeah,
And
so I'll probably jump in the gun. So the two areas which probably Haroon, because we've got another 45 minutes before we got to wrap it up, or slightly less. So the two areas that really caused confusion, which I'm sure Haroon's gonna his tips and tricks element of this, it's registration, setting up the registration, and the other thing that newbies struggle with, which we deal with at WP-Tonic, is email, and how the email are sent out, how they're configured, what's the best recommend. That's a whole can of worms in itself, which
yes,
confuses a lot of people, and it's one of the reasons why they look at SaaS solutions, because they don't have to
yes.
deal with that. But when it comes to WP-Tonic, we do deal with all that, so you don't have to try and work that out. Am I right? Do you think the registration and the email side are two things that really confuse newbies?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because WordPress natively doesn't really give you a powerful registration system, and it barely gives you any emails. I mean, the only emails WordPress natively has is like a password reset email or maybe a new user registration email, but that's about it. And those aren't sort of customizable by default either. So plugins have to build their own emailing sort of systems, and that may vary from plugin to plugin, so it's like all over the place as well, and new users wouldn't know where to look for them as well. So yeah, it's very understandable how it can get confusing. And also the WordPress default user registration system, it's just very basic. You from the front end, it's extremely basic. They only ask you for like email address and a password, and generally, so anything beyond that you need to set up using plugins. But
Yeah, it's even more frustrating anyway, because a lot of newbies don't understand, and I'm sure some of the other hosting providers provide help and insight. But depending on the size of your course and how many users you've got, a lot of the better hosting providers don't provide any email sending functionality, like
yes,
WP Engine and some of the other more recommended ones that I'd recommend to people. Some of the less recommended ones, they do offer some basic email sending functionality, but you shouldn't use it for reliability, and also it'll probably end up in people's spam folders and then we'll never get it
yes,
anyway. And when it comes from like registration, completion of courses, you need a system that does get into people's inboxes, not something that
yes.
regularly ends up in people's spam boxes. So people don't understand all this, and they really struggle with that whole side, don't they, Haroon?
Absolutely. That's one of the major pain points of many new users. They generally expect these emails to be similar to the emails that they compose for their day-to-day tasks, or the business emails that they send and receive using maybe their web hosting email account or their Gmail account. But these bulk emails that a successful or even moderately successful e-learning site is going to send, they're going to be for things like user registration, course enrollment, lesson completed, payment successful, or membership expiring. There's so many emails that are automatically going to go out, and these are called transactional emails. So when a user performs a transaction on the site, it doesn't have to be a financial transaction. It could be like they've completed a course. That's a transaction in the database, and you want to send them an email. You're not going to manually send them.
And
So there are
we provide all that, and we use our main partner, not a sole partner, but our main partner that I have a partnership with is SendGrid, and most of the email is sent, not exclusively, but almost all the emails sent from SendGrid. And that's one of the most rock solid backbone email sending systems out there. Would you agree, Haroon?
I agree. And setting up SendGrid again for a newbie, it's a huge pain because you've got to set up 3 different types of DNS records, and in your domains DNS control panel, and many new users don't even know what DNS is. They just want to they just know what a domain name is. They don't know what a DNS is. So we take care of DNS management for you at WP-Tonic, so that we create all the necessary DNS records. And without those DNS records, even using SendGrid, your emails aren't even going to go through, let alone land in spam. They're not even going to land in spam. SendGrid isn't going to let you send those emails at all if you don't have all of those DNS records configured properly. And if some of those records are misconfigured, then yes, emails may get sent but end up in spam or end up rejected by the receiving email server. So we take care of all of that for you so that you get industry standard email deliverability. And
and I'm pushing my own. We are pushing our own service, but we are both, me and Haroon, are dead honest. It's something that people really want to consider when they're looking at their different hosting, because I do feel it's something. It's hard to explain to a newbie, because what you don't know you can't appreciate. But we provide all that, and our email levels are extremely generous, much more generous than the SaaS or other providers. And when it comes to a membership site, it's extremely important that these emails get into people's inboxes.
Absolutely.
It's the whole thing will just fall to bits if they don't get to the inbox. So you really need a provider that can send those emails. And trying to set all this up is one of the weaknesses of WordPress, because unless you've got the technical knowledge, for a newbie, it will be a bit of a nightmare. At WP-Tonic, we do all that for you. So I've just blown my trumpet a bit too much, and we're getting for time. But we've got another 5-6 minutes before we got to wrap it up. Sorry to interrupt, but I think that was important to point out.
It's something that I'm going to cover when I do the whole email system setup at that stage in the course. So we can discuss the rest of the email setup when we reach there. This translations section is self-explanatory. If you have WPML or Polylang installed, here is where you're going to manage all of your different translations. And if you're not going to run a multilingual WordPress website, then this isn't really too relevant for you. Sorry, not the license screen. Support. I ended up clicking the license screen by mistake, and it shows the license in plain text. So this support data is something that at times for debugging purposes, LearnDash may require when you're dealing with their support. It basically tells whatever's running on the site. And then there's Pro Panel license that you can activate as well. We're going to take a look at Pro Panel some other time once we have all of the data, all of the other things set up. And in advanced settings, we can choose custom labels for things like courses, lessons, topics, and all of your buttons. The default labels for everything in LearnDash. You can have a different label over here, and then there's REST API, data upgrades. This isn't something that you're going to have to deal with usually, but let's say you want to change courses into anything else, you name it, you can do that. You want to change topics to maybe areas of interest or whatever, you can do that. So that was an overview of settings. And now, before we sign off, let's take a look at some of the plugins that we're going to be able to use with LearnDash on WP-Tonic. And you're going to be able to use them no matter what hosting you're on, just the way you can use SendGrid no matter what hosting you're on. But we highly recommend that you go with something like SendGrid, even if you're not with WP-Tonic. So the same way, we're going to recommend that you go with these industry standard plugins, best-in-class plugins, even if you don't go with WP-Tonic. So there's Lifter LMS, LearnDash. You get access to Buddy Boss, Lifter Elements that adds different features to Lifter LMS. Astra Pro themes, we don't recommend this anymore because of Elementor and Hello. And then there's Affiliate WP Pro. There's Short Pixel for image optimization. Affiliate WP Pro can be quite handy if you want to run an affiliate network for having others promote your courses, to help others sell your courses. Maybe you want to make your instructors affiliates so that whenever they bring in, bring in users to sign up for their courses, they get paid out in addition to their regular instructor payout. You want to reward them for bringing more users to the site, more customers. And then there's Fluent Forms Pro, one of the best form plugins out there, and definitely better than Gravity Forms in my opinion. Fluent Support, this is like a help desk plugin, so you can run a whole help desk support system of your own on your site if you choose. Convert Pro, you may choose to use it. I'm not too big on it now because of the other tools that we use that don't really need Convert Pro. It was one of the best plugins for creating those conversion focused pop-ups and opt-in forms all over your site. But these days, I'd recommend going with something like Fluent CRM Pro, which is also something we offer in combination with Elementor Pro Forms and Elementor Pro Pop-ups. So that gives you generally a better, more sort of integrated solution to build pop-ups and conversion forms and all. Convert Pro does have some benefits, like its split testing. If you need split testing, then yes, you need something like Convert Pro. So for me, I have a rule of thumb: if the client doesn't need split testing, then I don't use Convert Pro. If they do need split testing, I use Convert Pro. That's like where I draw the line between Convert Pro and using the other system.
I quite like it because it provides I actually think it's one of the most polished plugins that Astra provide, actually, apart from Cart
Yes,
Flows.
it is.
I think Cart Flows and also their video hosting. I forgot the name of it. With I've got Presto, their and their cart flows, but that, I think it's one of their best. But we provide it, and I still believe in it. But there we go. There's many ways of doing this. Isn't there?
Of course. And then there's Emilia, which is which is an appointment booking calendar sort of a plugin. And there's Ultimate add-ons for Elementor that I used to use a lot, but not anymore, because now I just build directly with Elementor what's needed. So that's like one less add-on pack in slowing down the site. But hey, it does give you some very quick, more robust add-ons than the core Elementor widgets. So like depending on your needs, you might want to use it as well. Automator Pro, this is the automation plugin that we were talking about, Uncanny Automator Pro. So this basically lets you connect multiple plugins within WordPress in a way that if event A or if trigger A happens in plugin A, then do task B in plugin B or something like that. So there can be, something happens in one plugin, do something else in another plugin. It's like Zapier for WordPress plugins. And for many plugins that don't natively integrate with each other, Automator lets you integrate them regardless of them not having a native integration. Better Docs is something that many e-learning sites would find useful. It's sort of building a whole documentation base in WordPress, like a help section or a docs section, or what we call a knowledge base. So you can build an entire knowledge base using Better Docs. WooFunnels is relevant if you're going to use WooCommerce. Otherwise, WooFunnels itself is not too relevant, but one of their plugins, Autonomy, that's going to be relevant even if you don't have WooFunnels itself. Autonomy is a marketing automation plugin similar to Fluent CRM Pro, CRM and marketing automation. We're going to cover that at some point, like in probably one of the last couple of lectures of the series, sessions of the series. Then there's Bertha.ai. This is like an AI-based content creating tool, which I think it uses the GPT-3 algorithm in the backend and like system in the backend.
It's amazing. It can really help you. I've been testing it extensively, and it's been maturing, and the team behind it are doing a great job. And it can really help you write your course materials much more rapidly. So we'll be
Very
integrating it a lot more, because it really does help a course creator write all the content.
Agreed. And then there's this another gem of a plugin, Presto Player, which is going to be highly relevant to e-learning sites. So while LearnDash does give you the ability to embed, upload any videos, Presto Player gives you a lot more control over the video player that you're going to use. And in addition to that, it also gives you the ability to host those videos on third-party platforms with ease, which you can do with other solutions on WordPress as well. But Presto gives you a very integrated, sort of very efficiently managed way of uploading and organizing your videos.
I just want to tell the viewers and listeners, with WP-Tonic, we provide two solutions here. We have a solution that's very powerful. It doesn't provide everything when it comes to learning management that Presto does, but it does provide a lot of functionality, and you get a sub account and you can log in, and it provides similar functionality and quality to Vimeo Pro. And we provide that free as part of the hosting package. But if you need something with even more functionality, we can set you up with Presto and set that up for you as well. So we've got you well covered when it comes to video hosting, video functionality, when it comes to either LearnDash or Lifter, which is amazing value on its own, isn't it?
Oh yes, because generally on cheaper hosts, when users upload their videos on the host itself, especially on cheap shared hosting, it's gonna basically bring your hosting account to a crawling halt, because videos consume an immense amount of bandwidth, and it's gonna make you run out of your resource allocation. Your host is gonna ask you to upgrade to a much more expensive plan or bill you through the roof the moment you start getting any serious traffic, or even if it's just like maybe 4 or 5 users consuming, a bunch of courses.
You can never say never, but unless, I can't think of a reason why. But I'm sure there's one out there. So I'm never going to say never, because I've learned not to say never. But to host your videos on your server area is bonkers, basically. There's great CDN systems. There's our hosting platform that we provide, and then we can set up Presto and store the videos, and we set all that up for you. We provide. But if you're not with us, do listen to Haroon. It is a crazy idea to have your videos hosted on the same platform. If you're not using us, most other hosting providers, if you utilize them, you need to buy a Vimeo. Vimeo is the biggest one. There are a couple others that are even more expensive. But Vimeo is not cheap, but it is high quality. Or you could use YouTube, but it has some very strong limitations, and I wouldn't recommend it when you're sending a course to people to use. I think you can use YouTube if it's a free course. I think it's totally acceptable. But when you're charging people, I think for security and also just for the presentation, it's not a great idea, because with these other solutions, you can brand them to your own branding. That's reason. Do not use your hosting area to store your videos.
That was one of the tips that I was just going to talk about, what you've already explained, like more than half of it for us already. So I'm going to just cover the bit that you haven't. So there are generally 3 types of video hosting that you can consider for an e-learning course, for e-learning site. One is the first thing that comes to every new user's mind, that, hey, my web host is giving me this many GBs of space, I'm just gonna host videos over there. But that's just out of the question, because firstly, that space is very, very expensive to run videos from, because it's meant to be the hard drive storage of your server for its website files and operating system files and whatnot. So it's extremely expensive storage. And secondly, every single time someone, like let's say there's a video over there that 10 people are browsing. So that video is being served to 10 people across 10 connections from that server. So it's consuming 10 times the bandwidth of the size of the video. Now, the next option is free and open CDN, like Amazon's S3 service or Bunny CDN or any CDN. So that's the second thing that comes to mind, that hey, CDNs allow us to have any static resources like images, videos, JavaScript files, CSS files on like resources that don't need server-side processing, that just need to be available out there, and they can be consumed in a web browser without any server being involved.
That's what we do. If people want to use Presto, we set them up with a free Bunny account. We ask them to, and then we configure it for them, and we go that route. But our hosted solution, our video, is really very, very good. But there are people that want to use the Presto because they're doing. The Presto's got some lovely features that work with LearnDash and Lifter. It's just really depending on what you want to do. It's a case to case. I interrupted there again. Agreed. You were going to go on to the third option.
So the third option, actually the second option that I just explained should ideally be the third one in the list. The second option that generally comes to mind of most users is, hey, why can't we just upload the video on YouTube and embed it on our site? And that's great for a free course, but YouTube doesn't allow you to remove branding, as Jonathan mentioned, let alone replace branding. And wherever a YouTube video is embedded, someone can click on the video title or the YouTube button within that embed to open that video in YouTube itself. And secondly, YouTube will show its own ads in videos, and people can click those ads and go to other videos that are not part of your course at all, because YouTube decides what ads they want to show them. So you lose control, and there's a chance of people navigating away from your course to the next video ad that YouTube shows them. And thirdly, no branding at all. And for a paid course, you don't want that video to be available out there for free. Even if you've uploaded it as unlisted on YouTube, people are still going to be able to share its link to anyone they want. And there's no way you can protect it. With Vimeo and other third-party solutions that offer you similar video hosting, dedicated video hosting, they give you a similar experience to YouTube in that you upload on the internet, and it's like a whole video hosting site where you can share links with anyone you want, but you can also set your videos to private. And in settings of such accounts like Vimeo Pro account, you can specify the URLs on which you allow these videos to be embedded. So if your site is WP-Tonic.com, you can allow WP-Tonic.com to be whitelisted for embedding. And if anyone attempts to embed the video on any other site, they're not going to be able to do that. And you can eliminate direct access. So if anyone tries to open that video with the direct link, they're not going to be able to see it. They're only going to be able to see it embedded on the site of your choice. You can do that. But Vimeo Pro is expensive, so the third option, the CDN option with a good video player like Presto Player, which is not mandatory.
And I'm always confused by the Vimeo pricing structure, because they offer multiple tiers, don't they?
Yes.
And I always get confused, but it is important, the difference between the Pro and the Plus.
Yes.
I can't remember. There's a couple of key features, and you really got to understand the difference, haven't you?
Yes.
Between is the Pro lesser than the Plus, or is it Plus?
No,
then
Plus
Pro?
is lesser. Yeah,
Right.
Plus is cheaper. Plus is their first paid plan, and for someone who's starting off, Plus is fine. But and Plus is very affordable, and I've deployed it for many clients in the past. And they don't really crack down upon you if you use Plus for this purpose till you really start using it to an extent where they're like, now this site is becoming a success. Now we want them to upgrade to Pro. We want more money. So then they might come and ask you to do that.
I personally, folks, I see where Haroon's coming, but I have known some people and they got into some real difficulties with Vimeo because they were using their Plus, and they needed to at the big. I think it's not worth the risk. I think if you're going to do it, you're going to have to look at the Pro, and the Pro is reasonably expensive. It's cheaper compared to some of the other solutions that are very, very expensive, very polished, but very expensive. Our system that we offer as part of our hosting, I think it's the equivalent of Pro. So it's excellent value. And just be a bit careful about utilizing the Plus, which is a lot cheaper than the Pro, but you can. I have known a couple of clients get into some where they've
some trouble.
They've closed their account and they've got a bit. I'm not going to say, but they've got a bit funny with them.
They do give you a warning before they do that, so you can, like, they give you a window of time to upgrade to Pro, and they do it at a stage where having to upgrade to a higher tier is a good problem to have, because that means you're getting that many users consuming your course. So unless it's a free course, it's a good problem to have, because that means more paid users are accessing.
Just to finish off, also it's in the back of my mind, Haroon, but I can't think of what it is. There's one particular function that the Plus doesn't do that you really need in the Pro version if you're running a membership site. And I can't remember what it is, but it doesn't matter. You know, they do list all the functionality, so you do need to read it, folks.
But long story short, with us, you're not going to need it at all, because we give you something better and that you don't need to pay extra for. So like with WP-Tonic, that's not your worry. But let's say you're not using WP-Tonic, even then you don't need to use Vimeo Pro when you scale. You can just use something like Presto Player with a good CDN, with maybe Amazon S3 or Backblaze B2 storage, or use some third-party plugin that lets you upload your videos to Amazon S3 or Backblaze B2 or something like that. So there are multiple ways to skin that
if you're
cat.
looking for the simplest one, the bunny with Presto is the best way. And then just to finish off, we've got Document Lib Pro, which is a great plugin to organize downloadable documents, Word or PDFs. It's a great and it's really useful if you're needing to download, and we provide that. It comes with a great interface, and it's a great coding shop behind it. So all the plugins we provide are focused about adding additional functionality aimed at the e-learning entrepreneur. So I think we offer a good library that has a selection that is really focused at somebody that's trying to build a membership business on WordPress. Would you agree, Haroon?
Absolutely. And generally, you wouldn't really need any other plugins if you utilize this whole library, or like not even the whole library, parts of it that are relevant to your site. Don't try utilizing this whole library for your own good. But
that's why we give a onboarding, because we do have people that say, "Can't you put everything? I want everything on their website." And I said, "Well, if you have everything, you're going to have to upgrade to the next plan level, because the bandwidth you're going to be utilising." So control yourself, folks. I think
that pretty much sums it up.
It's been a bit, but there's so much to go through, isn't there? Next week, the next video, I'm going to shut up a bit more and let Haroon get on with it. But I think we're given some tips, insights about some of the issues that you've got to understand about, folks. And, email, registration, video. These are the areas that I get the most support tickets and get the most questions from our own users. So I thought we needed to give some background information, because I think it does cause a lot of confusion in our room with people, and it kind of puts them off WordPress. Like I say, if you come to WP-Tonic, we do all that for you. So that's why we make it a bit easier to utilize the power of WordPress. We'll be back soon with another of this series where Haroon's going to be delving in a lot more detail. We'll see you soon, folks. Bye.
Bye-bye.